Yo, man, welcome to Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Hey, man, we are now at the Super Bowl time. Bro, you know that your boy is super geeked about being at the Super Bowl time, especially since, them dudes done made it once again. Yeah, we rocking the last year's Super Bowl champion hat, because we about to run it back to back right quick. And Chief all day up in this house. Hey, this episode is going to be a pretty in-depth episode about the two conference games. Then we're going to do another episode. I'm going to release it on Saturday, strictly about the bowl, the Super Bowl. And man, I'm very excited to get to it. The first thing that we're going to focus on, though, in this episode are the new coaching hirings. Because now, all the jobs have been filled up. And I may touch on a couple teams that I felt like should have switched things up, maybe look to go in a different direction with a different head coach. But these are the ones that have been taken, and these are the guys that we got. For the Atlanta Falcons, man, we got our boy Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator, taking that job. I actually think it was a great hire. I did not like them going after Bill Belichick whatsoever. I did not think that was a recipe for success, and I'm happy that they chose to go a different direction. Now, with that being said, I personally was thinking maybe Ben Johnson, but Ben Johnson came out and said that he didn't want to go there, and a couple other guys. But Raheem Morris, I'm more than cool with. I think Raheem Morris is going to go there. He's going to upgrade the defense. He's going to continue building on that defense, obviously. They're going to go after a young quarterback. I personally think it'll be Justin Fields. We'll get into that in later episodes after the Super Bowl when we talk about offseason moves that should be made. But what Raheem Morris is going to bring to that team is youth, structure, ability to connect with players, and so on and so forth. And man, you look at what guys like Jalen Ramsey said, and other Pro Bowl caliber players, and other just average NFL players that's come out speaking about Raheem Morris. They all love him. Now we got to remember, Raheem Morris actually took over as an interim head coach at some point with the Atlanta Falcons. So with that being the case, there's familiarity there. He understands how everybody rolls in the building. I just think it was a great hire. Good job, Atlanta Falcons. Moving on now to the Tennessee Titans. We already talked about them hiring Callahan, the offensive coordinator from the Cincinnati Bengals. We already touched on that, so we ain't going to go too deep into detail, but I think it's going to be great for Will Levis. He showed what he could do with a backup quarterback in Cincinnati and how he could progress that offense. The only issue that I have is we don't really know how much of that offense was ran by him. Zach Taylor was the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams years ago. So with that being the case, coming from Sean McVay, I don't know if Zach Taylor was kind of holding on to play calling duties during this time with Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not sure, and we never really know. For example, like Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid a couple years ago. Bieniemy couldn't get a job because everybody thought that Andy Reid was calling the plays and he was a great play caller. But if you ask Andy Reid, he was saying Eric Bieniemy was calling the plays. I'm telling you now, I do believe that Andy Reid was calling the plays. So that's my thing with Callahan. I'm not sure if it was him or Zach Taylor, but I think it was a progressive hire. You're trying to build up Will Levis, but maybe even go after a different quarterback. They got the draft capital to trade up if they want to and try to get one of these other guys. You talking about the Penixes of the world, the Bo Nixes, even the McDaniels. I mean, there's guys out there that they could try to get. I personally would just stay still, give Will another shot, but they can make some moves. Decent hire for the Tennessee Titans. Moving on now to the Washington Commanders, bringing in Dan Quinn. This was a surprising hire to me. I was not expecting this. I don't know how I feel about Dan Quinn going there, to be honest. I think it was a pretty basic move. I kind of think that you barely upgraded from going from Ron Rivera, a defensive head coach, to Dan Quinn. Now, the great thing with Dan Quinn potentially is that he was able to lure Cliff Kingsbury from the Raiders. And Cliff Kingsbury has always had a pretty explosive offense. There are explosive weapons there. When you look at guys like Terry McLaurin, look at guys like Dotson, and so on and so forth. But they got some guys that they could throw the football to. Their offensive line needs work. But as a defensive coordinator, a defensive coach, and they don't really have no elite defenders, he can't lean on his calling card. So I'm not really sure how that job's going to work out for him. Moving on to the next spot, man, we got the Seattle Seahawks hiring Mike McDaniel, the Ravens defensive coordinator. I think it was a great hire, honestly. I think it was a great hire. I thought Dan Quinn may be in the running for there, but Mike McDaniel was a good hire. I mean, you look at what he did with the Baltimore Ravens defense with a bunch of versatile defenders, being able to figure out their roles and put them in the proper places for them to just put all their talents out for display. I think it was fantastic. So with that being the case, him going there, I think is going to be really good for him. I just kind of still wonder what the offense is going to be. None of us really knows what the offense is going to be now without Pete Carroll in the realm. So, man, we'll see how that goes. But I think it was a decent hire, a solid hire for the Seattle Seahawks. As we all talked about, the Las Vegas Raiders keeping Antonio Pierce. Great job by the Raiders. Way to bring him back. There isn't really a whole lot to go into with that. I just think it was a great hire. Your guys are happy. Your boys are happy. Now you're ready to rock and roll. Moving on now to the next team. We're going to talking about the Carolina Panthers hiring Dan Caneles. I can't really pronounce his name. Please correct me in the comments if I pronounce it wrong, because I know I did. But anyways, he was the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. When you watch what he did with Baker Mayfield this year, he brought Baker Mayfield back to relevancy to the point that he made the Pro Bowl. But the thing was, he had other weapons. He had a Mike Evans. He had a Chris Godwin and things of that nature. So, I mean, there was great things that they had going on there and great players. And I'm not sure if that's going to be easy to replicate with the Carolina Panthers. Now, the beauty of it is kind of going to the Tennessee Titans situation and the Atlanta Falcons situation. He's a young coach. Bryce Young, he could grow with this offensive coach. So with that being the case, they could grow together. They could probably they should, let me be clear on that. They should, because that owner of the Carolina Panthers, we don't know what's going to happen. But they should probably have about a 3-4 year window to get this really going in the right direction. With that being the case, who knows? They could really start doing something, really start building something special. The NFC South has not proven to be the most the most successful division in the league. So maybe in a couple years, maybe they could do something. But as you guys know, I'm not the biggest Bryce Young guy. It never was. So moving on to the next team. We're going to go ahead and go to the New England Patriots, obviously bringing back Jerry Mayo as the head coach. I think it's great. Honestly, I think it's really good. I personally think Mike Vrabel would have been a better option for them, but I do understand the hire of bringing in Jerry Mayo. Now, the only issue I got to say, if you had an issue with, like, the Bill Belichick way still being there, then I got to question the hire. But I think that you would let go of Bill Belichick more so because you didn't want Bill Belichick to GM. So with that being the case, I'm cool with the Jerry Mayo hire. They just got a lot of work to do, but they're going to give this man time in order to get all the ducks in order. Moving on to our last team, the Los Angeles Chargers hiring Jim Harbaugh. I personally think Jim should have went to Atlanta. That's the guy that I think that should be in Atlanta, is Jim Harbaugh. I do not think that he took the correct job. It has nothing to do with him being a bad coach. I just think that he did not take the right job. The Los Angeles Chargers, they're going to have to let go of a lot of guys. And with that being the case, I don't know how much talent he's going to have on the roster. I think this year is honestly just going to be a wash for them, which means, them boys, we win in that division again. They're going to have to let go of maybe Keenan Allen. They're going to let go of maybe Mike Williams. They're going to have to let go of maybe Khalil Mack, maybe Joey Bosa, maybe Dorian James. Austin Eckler is as good as gone. He's gone. So with that being the case, man, like there's so much talent that has to leave that roster because of cap reasons. So a lot of cap casualties. How do you replace those guys? What I just listed off to you are all Pro Bowl, all NFL type guys, all pros. You don't have them on your roster, your team gets worse. They get worse. And your quarterback is already making the money. As he should. Justin Herbert is worth the money. But he's already making the money, so it's going to be hard to bring guys in. You got to grow these guys. Then on top of that, you go to a very tough division. You're dealing with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs every year. Every year. And then not just stop there. Then you go to Denver. If Sean Payton could continue growing that roster the way that he was growing that team in the second half of the year, even though he did a bunch of shady stuff to Russell Wilson, a bunch of shady stuff. But he did improve that team as the year went. And then Antonio Pierce, he was improving the Las Vegas Raiders as the season went. So we really don't know how good the Chargers are going to be in this division. That's the big question mark. And that's why I'm just like, I think that was not the right job for him to take. I personally would have took the Atlanta Falcons if I were him, but obviously I'm not. But those are our coaching hirings, man. We're going to see how it all works out. I really will have more to say about these hirings as the offseason goes on, as we see guys move places and change places, as we all know is going to happen, and see how these teams start shaking out. But now, hey, we're going to get into the conference championship games. First game we want to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens. Man, the final score of that game was 17-10, and like I said, we're going to do a pretty in-depth, detailed description over this game and give you some of my real inner thoughts about this game, seeing how we only had 2 games last 2 weekends ago. So, man, first place that we're going to start off is just the mindset of the rosters. When you go into the game, I wasn't really concerned about the Chiefs being on the road. I wasn't concerned at all. They just beat Buffalo. They play in a loud stadium. Like, they're used to this kind of stuff. And then when you got inclement weather coming, once again, they play in Kansas City. They're used to this kind of stuff. So, with that being the case, I did not think Baltimore was going to have an advantage there. Baltimore were in the place where a lot of them, none of them has been at this point. Now, I did think Baltimore had the best chance of beating the Chiefs out of all the playoff teams, out of all of them. They have a dynamic quarterback. They had a good running game. They have a good, strong offensive line. They have a great defense. So, man, with those things being the case, there aren't really no glaring holes outside them just beating themselves. So that was my thought process walking into this game. And I also thought the only way the Chiefs had a chance to win was by Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce leading that charge, and obviously Chris Jones making the plays at the end of the game when it's time to get a stop. So now let's talk about what happened in the game. They ran it a lot this year, but I was kind of shocked to see how much they ran nickel, talking about the Baltimore Ravens against the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason why I was kind of shocked was that they didn't bring Hamilton down in the box as often as I thought that they would. And once they did that in the second half, they had a lot more success. But, man, they stayed in that formation. And because they stayed in that formation, it allowed the Chiefs to get the run game going, which now opened up the middle of the field for Travis Kelce, because now you had to go man. And when they went man, the Chiefs were cooking them. Cooking them, man. Like, if you go to the first quarter, you look at the fourth down that the Kansas City Chiefs went for in the fourth, that only happened because they were in man coverage. They do the play action pass. They run 3-level routes. But the thing was, when you're rolling to the right, as Patrick Mahomes was, Travis Kelce was supposed to be a decoy. He's not supposed to get that ball. But because he's rolling to the right, they had all that covered. But because it's man-to-man, Travis Kelce being, I want to say 6'5", and the body type he has, 260, wide body, great soft hands, he was able to put the ball in the position where the DB couldn't make a play on the ball. Couldn't make a play. And that's how they converted that, because they went man-to-man with a blitz. That's how they converted the fourth down, which obviously led to the Chiefs touchdown. Let's talk about the Chiefs touchdown for a second. The first one. Man, that was a heck of a route by Travis Kelce. But more so, heck of a pass by Patrick Mahomes. Bro, there is nothing more Kyle Hamilton can do on that play. Patrick Mahomes did not just throw a back shoulder throw. That's how a lot of you going to see it. It was not a back shoulder. A back shoulder, he's supposed to be running. It's supposed to be here when he turned back. No, it was down and low. Travis had to drop to get that ball. And Travis also stated himself that that ball was on him like that. And it had to be, because if there was any other second given, Hamilton was batting that ball down to the ground. Bro, it just was a hell of a pass by Patrick Mahomes and a hell of a catch by Travis Kelce. These are the plays I was talking about where I'm just like, the Chiefs are going to have to lean on them too to beat the Baltimore Ravens. And Kyle Hamilton, I thought that was going to be a pretty tough matchup for Travis Kelce. Looking at how we played all season and look at how he has played all season. But instead, what happened? Great player, big-time players make big-time plays. That's going to be our slogan on this show. Big-time players make big-time plays. And that's what Travis Kelce did, and Patrick Mahomes. So, man, great touchdown by them. But then, man, when you go to the Baltimore Ravens, they went for it on fourth down. They didn't get it. They did get it. They went for it on fourth down. They got the fourth down. And now that allowed them to continue their drive just like the Chiefs did. And then it ended up being a great touchdown pass by Lamar Jackson. And what made it great was that, man, when he shrugged off Chanel off of that linebacker blitz, it opened up the field. When As a defensive back, your eyes are kind of in the backfield. You are watching Lamar's eyes, so then you can see if the ball's coming at you or not. So when the ball is not coming at him, and he sees that his defensive guy is about to wrap Lamar up, you kind of hold up. Because you're just a human being. You're like, okay, the play's about to die. But then when he broke out, and Zay Flowers never gave up on the route tree, Zay Flowers cut that thing up, and bro, that was a clean 6. Clean 6. That was Lamar Jackson showing why he was a league MVP. Showing why he's going to be the league MVP. But with that being the case, man, I personally thought that the Chiefs won the quarter. They won the first quarter. Because, see, Kansas City was the only team that got a stop. There was only 4 possessions in this first half. And, first quarter. They had 3 and out by the Ravens. Chiefs touchdown. Ravens touchdown. Chiefs bled out the clock, which was a major part of this game plan was the Chiefs bleeding out the clock, eliminating the Baltimore Ravens possessions. And then another thing that I noticed was that when Baltimore Ravens did go zone, they was locking down the Chiefs. They was locking them down, in which I thought they should just ran more of that in the first quarter. In the first half, to be honest. In the second half, they ran a lot more of it, and then they were able to work into their man-to-man coverage. But in the first half, they was trying to mix it up, and every time that they went in zone, they did slow down the Chiefs. That's when you saw Patrick Mahomes doing a whole lot of check down, But as soon as they went man, that's when you saw the explosive plays taking place. The thing that I think really killed the Baltimore Ravens in the first quarter, though, was Lamar Jackson's decisions on the RPOs. He was making bad reads on the RPOs. Specifically, he was keeping the ball instead of giving it to the back. He wanted to be the hero in this game, unfortunately. Lamar is a big-time team player, so I'm not trying to dare say he was selfish. He just knows that he's the league MVP. He's looking at this like, I got to outduel Patrick Mahomes, and that was his mindset. Now, also, who knows what the offensive coordinator and John Harbaugh has told him. Because maybe they came into that game saying, like, the only way we're going to beat the Chiefs is with the pass. Well, that changed your aggressiveness. That changed your mindset. Now you're looking at this as more of a play action instead of an RPO. So with that being the case, he wasted that first drive. That first drive was completely wasted by Lamar Jackson. And because of that, the final score in that quarter ended up being 7-7. Now, man, when we start getting to the second quarter, it was a continuation of the Kansas City drive. And, man, that's when they ended up getting the second touchdown. And, bro, they went forward on the third down, and they converted that thing, and it was fantastic. It was great. And once they continued building on that, talking about the Chiefs, they bled a whole lot of clock. When you consider the fact that they had the ball at the end of the first quarter going into the second quarter. And with that being the case, bro, they just ran the ball once they got into that red zone. And eventually Isaiah Pacheco, he popped through. And he got the 6-point touchdown. So now, man, we're looking at a 14-7 game. And then this is where the Baltimore Ravens just killer drives happen. Killer of the game start to happen. Baltimore fumbles. Specifically, Lamar Jackson fumbles. The Chiefs had a great pass rush. When you go back and look at that play of the fumble, George Karlaftis, he got off the ball. That right tackle was beat from the jump. But there's one thing that you do not do with a mobile quarterback like Lamar Jackson, even mobile quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and guys of that nature. You do not run past them. You don't do that. Because, see, when you run past them, they can now step up. So look at it like this. If this is Lamar and this is Karlaftis and it's coming this way, Lamar can now go behind him. And that's what should have happened. Instead, what Lamar did, he just took a step up. He didn't use this gap. And because he didn't use that gap, that's what allowed Charles Omenihu to now beat his left tackle to now smack the ball out of his hand. And Lamar held the ball too long. Lamar did not maneuver in the pocket correctly. He stepped up, but he didn't maneuver. And that's why it is his fault. And like I said, and he held the ball too long. A rule of thumb is like you're supposed to get like 3 seconds to throw the football, 3 to 4 seconds. And I think he held the ball for like 5 or 6 seconds. Therefore, he's holding the ball too long. He does not get the ball out. Granted, he's holding on to the ball like that because the Chiefs' defensive backs are sticky. Nobody was open. Nobody was open, so he's trying to hold the ball. But now also nobody's open because this whole game they ran home run plays, home run after home run after home run, and when you do that, there's nobody to check down the ball to. But this fumble was on Lamar Jackson. Lamar should have scooted out, get up out of there. But he fumbled. Now for the Chiefs, man, they went for it on that fourth down, and for Baltimore, that defense turned the tide back, gave them boys another chance. That defense stopped the Chiefs on fourth down. I was actually good with it. I was good with going for it on fourth down there. I don't necessarily like the play call. I would not have ran the ball straight up the middle. I think they tried to run a trap. And when they try to do that, that Baltimore defense is strong, bro. Them boys are strong. You also got to remember that in this game, the Chiefs were also without their all-pro left guard and Joe Thuney. So without him, you're obviously losing push on the offensive line. You're not pushing these guys back as the way that you normally do. I wouldn't have ran that play, me personally. I think I would have just put the ball in Pat's hands again. But now also, I'm saying this, man. What's our slogan? Big-time players make big-time plays. When it's time for that big-time play, Pat's having the ball every trip for me. You may know it's coming. Stop him. Stop him. And anytime the Chiefs needed a play, guess what? They couldn't stop him. They could not stop him, and that's exactly what I would have did. I would not have gave the ball to Pac in that situation, especially not that way. I may have ran maybe like a stretch play to try to get it there, but also that was going to be tough because the linebackers of the Baltimore Ravens are ridiculously athletic, and Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, so they're going to get there. Them boys are moving. They're going to get there. But nonetheless, great stop by the Baltimore Ravens defense in that with about 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Got to talk about the highlight play. The highlight play was Lamar Jackson catching his own pass. Hey, man, you talking about your boy was scared. Your boy was nervous. Bro, man, when that pass happened and that ball got tipped, bro, that's supposed to be an interception. That's how ridiculously athletic Lamar Jackson is. That play was not an interception. That play ended up being a catch by himself, and he also almost got a first down off of that joint. Like, bro, that stuff is crazy. Highlight could be a mess around, be a highlight of the playoffs because that's stuff that you do not see. You do not see. But what really killed this half was the end of the half when the penalties started racking up for the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, let's talk about the first penalty. The first one specifically I'm talking about is the Chiefs' last drive that they ended up getting a field goal on. The Baltimore Ravens lost their cool. They lost their cool. And with that being the case, they were doing things. They were just playing way too overly aggressive. There's a difference between being aggressive and overly aggressive. Overly aggressive bleeds into recklessness. And that's what Baltimore started playing in. They started playing in just complete recklessness. Now, the first one, Travis Kelce did cause that penalty to happen. Travis should have been called for a penalty as well. I agree. But as we said on the previous episode, just like driving a car, me and you are on the highway. We both are speeding. You are in front of me. The cop never gets the first one. The cop always gets the second one. Every time. Me playing football to the high school level, bro, I will tell you this. Every coach I ever had always told us it's never the first guy that gets called. It's always the second guy. So with that being the case, Kyle Van Noy, he knows that. He knows that. And the reason why he got called for it specifically was because he had nothing to do with the play. He just walked up. He had nothing to do with it. He just stays back, let everything develop. The rest would have separated it. Probably would have been no penalties at all. He got called because he stepped into the middle of stuff. He was about to escalate the situation as he did. That's why he got called for it. Obviously, the penalties of smacking Patrick Mahomes in the head and so on and so forth. Can't do that. That gets the Chiefs down there. The Chiefs had some bad penalties as well. Therefore, they couldn't capitalize on it. For example, like the Rashee Rice screen touchdown. That was easily 6 points. Trey Smith lost his head, and he got called for a holding. And that was clean. That was a clean hold. That's a legal definition of a hold, so it was a correct call. But the Chiefs still did get a field goal to make the score 17-7. Obviously, man, the Chiefs won the second quarter. The Chiefs are the only ones that put up points and the only team that were really making stops. So at this point in the game, when I'm watching the game at home as a Chief fan and also as a known true ball leader, the game was over. The game was over. And you can ask my boys that I was texting, whoever that you want to ask. Bro, I'm telling you that game was over. And the reason why I said it was is because of how that second half ended. That last drive. The Baltimore Ravens lost their cool. What that told me, man, was the lights was too bright. The lights were too bright. Too many guys trying to make too many hero plays. And that's what happens when you try to make hero plays. You miss opportunities and you do dumb things. Moving now to the third quarter, though. The third quarter, man, was a back and forth quarter defensively. Both defenses stepped up. At this point in the game, Baltimore's defense was the best defense in the NFL. And the Chiefs was hanging in there with them. And, bro, there was stop after stop after stop after stop after stop. And then eventually, boom, Zay Flowers play happens. And let me first explain why it happens, man. The Chiefs went into a cover 3, I believe. They went to a cover 3 zone. If it was a cover 3, they definitely went in cover 2. L'Jarius Sneed was his deep third. If you watch that play, L'Jarius Sneed, he starts sneaking over because he's watching Lamar Jackson's eyes, and now he starts sneaking over to the crosser, and he leaves Zay Flowers on the fly route. And because he left him on that fly route and he started creeping down, Lamar got to throw that thing out there to Zay. Now Lamar is not the best passer in the league. Nobody's trying to make that case. But because he didn't get the ball there with the velocity that it needed, and he did not throw the ball far enough if you're going to throw it as softly as he did. He threw the ball with caution. He threw the ball to make sure the ball got completed. I'm not hating on it, but that's how he threw the football. And because of that, that's how Zay Flowers got hawked down by L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed is not the fastest player in the league. Zay Flowers isn't either, but Zay Flowers is faster than Sneed. That should have been 6 points easy. But regardless, man, great play by Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson. Now we got to talk about the taunting penalty. Zay Flowers is a boy from Florida, man. He's from the hood in Florida. He is like the youngest of like a bunch of siblings. I watched his interview on the Pivot podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. Great, seemed like a great dude and a great kid, great young man. He got caught in the moment. Firstly, when he got tackled, you cannot flip over L'Jarius Sneed. That was a taunting by itself. You cannot flip over L'Jarius Sneed. Then he stood over L'Jarius Sneed. You can't do that either. You cannot stand over him. Then you spun the ball and flexed on L'Jarius Sneed. They gotta call it. You put the game in the ref's hands, bro. That's on you. Now, as a football fan, and a dude also from the hood, playing in the hood, all those kind of things. Do I think it's a big deal? No. If you don't like it, stop him. I'm with y'all. But these are the rules. This is the rule book. We've seen way worse taunting penalties called. This man legitimately did taunt him at least 3 times. And they let the first 2 go. They even let the spinning of the ball go. They did not call it until that ball hit the ground and he hit this. That's when they called it. Now, it ended up not mattering because Zay Flowers made a great play to go into ending that quarter where he made all that ground up. And it was a hell of a play by Zay Flowers. But, man, we're going to stop right there to talk about the third quarter for 1 second. The third quarter was a push. Neither team won. Both defenses played lights out and made outstanding plays. Baltimore did find a great rhythm defensively. They started blitzing at the right times. Now, also, Kansas City Chiefs went conservative. They were not trying to air the ball out no more because they were focused on ball control and bleeding the clock. That's what the Chiefs were trying to do. The Chiefs were not trying to throw interceptions or have fumbles. So they just lowered the risk. We got the lead. That's what a champion does. Going into the fourth quarter now, the first play, bro. The Zay Flowers fumble. Young soldier. We saw with Mecole Hardman last week. You cannot reach that ball out there, man. You had 6. You didn't even have to reach it out there. You were going to take a hit. Zay Flowers ain't soft. He is not soft. I'm not saying that by any means. You just got to take that hit, bro. You're going to get popped. You just got to take it. Now, on the other end, L'Jarius need a hell of a play. Hell of a play. That's how you redeem yourself. Big-time players make big-time plays. And that's how you redeem yourself in that situation. You gave up the big play, and boom, you made the play. That play won the Kansas City Chiefs the game. I'm just going to keep it a buck. That play won the game. That play ended the game. The game was over. As soon as that play happened, I was like, oh, it's done. It's done. Now, moving on a little bit, the Chiefs continue to just bleed out the clock. Lamar Jackson eventually throws an interception in the fourth quarter, which was a ridiculous throw. I do not know why he threw that. I know that Isaiah Likely put his hand up for the jump ball, but Lamar, you got to be better than that, and you are better than that, bro. You knew good and well at very least he was double teamed, let alone triple teamed. What the hell did you think was going to happen? Of course, that's going to get picked, as it did. Now, as far as defensive pass interference on Isaiah Likely, I don't want to hear it. It was an uncatchable ball for Isaiah Likely. The defense did a great job. At the end, they got handsy, but it was uncatchable at that point. Isaiah Likely was literally like 5 yards away from where the football was intercepted. So it doesn't matter. Once again, the Chiefs continue to just bleed out the clock. And then eventually the Ravens get the ball back. I'm sorry, the Ravens, yes, they get the ball back. They don't convert. They do not convert. And then when the Chiefs get the ball back, man, we see the great play from Patrick Mahomes on the play action pass to throw that lob at the MVS. The beauty of that play is that MVS has struggled all year with catching the football. All year. And Patrick Mahomes has always been the great leader in just building confidence in him. And you build confidence by continuing to throwing the ball in those moments, never saying bad things about him, working with him, and things of that nature. And that's what Patrick Mahomes did. That's what he did, and that just shows what kind of leader this man is and why he's the best in the business. The catch by MVS, you made that as difficult as you can, bro. Bro, man, when you catch that ball backwards and your head hit that ground, like, bro, he could have easily dropped that ball, but, hey, man, you held on to it. He made big-time plays in this one this year, and he also made a big-time play last year against the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game when he stretched the ball out over the first down. Hey, I will tell you this. MVS has proven to be a big-time player when it counts. He shows up when he counts. He's Shaquille O'Neal of the NFL. Shaq did not make free throws, but he made them when you needed them. He made them when you needed them. I guess that's what MVS is. When it's time, he comes through for you. Okay, so the final score of that game ended up being 17-10. The Chiefs won the game. They came in with a tremendous game plan. They ran a whole lot of blitz at Lamar Jackson in the first half. In the second half, they played more conservative once they realized that Baltimore was not running the football. Baltimore lost themselves in this game. The lights were too bright. It's just that plain and simple. They completely lost themselves. They only ran the ball with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill only 6 times in this game, I believe. And the crazy thing is, like, those guys were averaging like 5-6 yards a carry when they ran it. Granted, part of the reason why they averaged that is because the Chiefs like, oh, hell, y'all just going to pass every play. We ain't going to defend the run. But, man, they are by far the stronger team. They should have just ran the football, and this game would have been completely different. But instead, it's like they came with a game plan like, hey, we're going to do the complete opposite to try to trick the Chiefs, and they never flipped back. They never adjusted it. And that's why they lost. It's just that plain and simple. Because now when you're throwing the ball that much and that often, now you're causing Lamar Jackson to throw an interception. Now you're causing Lamar Jackson to fumble the football. I do think that this knocks down Lamar Jackson a little bit. It does. I mean, you can't lose a game like that. If they lose this game 31-34, you can't jump on Lamar like that. But there was too many poor decisions in this game. At the end of the offseason, we're going to do a ranking of the quarterbacks and things of that nature. But Lamar, you definitely did lose a little bit of sizzle off of that game. And I hate to say that because I'm a big fan of yours. You're one of my favorite players in the league. You're probably actually my second favorite player in the league after Patrick Mahomes. But it hurts. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. we're going to the Super Bowl again. Talking about the other game real quick. The Detroit Lions versus at the San Francisco 49ers. You talk about the lights getting too bright. Oh, man. Let's go ahead and just run through the first quarter real quick. This game is actually going to be pretty quick to get through. Okay, the first quarter, man, we started off with a Jameson Williams rushing touchdown, the wide receiver of the Detroit Lions, bro. When you look at that first half, it was dominant. First quarter, it was dominated by the Detroit Lions. The running game was completely dominant, and the Niners had no chance. No chance. Now, also, the Niners missed some opportunities. You cannot miss your field goals, and you got to convert your first downs. You can't be on third down all the dang on time. And that's how they ended up being on. But the Detroit Lions dominated that game. They came in with the game plan that we talked about, that I told you guys that they had to have. We talked about the fact that the San Francisco 49ers are not a good run defense. If you run on them, you will be fine. They're only a good run defense by numbers because they get a lead, and that forces teams to pass. So teams look to pass the ball against the Niners instead of running it. But when you tell them boys to mano, man up, they cannot stop the run. I'm a big Fred Warner guy. I'm not blaming Fred. I'm blaming that defensive line. Hargraves is not built to stop the run. Kinlaw, bust. Nick Bosa is not built to stop the run. Chase Young, I don't know what the hell he's out there doing. But with that being the case, the Detroit Lions went out there, played their game plan, dominated that first quarter. They ended up, I think, with that first quarter being like 14-0, 14-3, something in that range. And, man, they were on their way. The Lions were on their way. And then when you go to the second quarter, bro, Brock Purdy throws an interception. And it was a bad interception. It did get tipped. But I'm telling y'all, that was not a good choice. That was just a bad a bad read by Brock Purdy. And the Lions just keep doing what they're doing. Keep running the football, pounding the football. Now, even though this happened, the 49ers showed some life. They showed some life. You saw the fight. You saw them making some stops. You saw them gaining a little bit of momentum. Did I think they was going to come back? I mean, anything was possible, but I was doubting it. But you saw a little bit of momentum turning. And when you get to the Gibbs touchdown, that's when I thought the Niners was going to be kind of shot in the foot. I thought the deficit was going to be too big. And also the way that Gibbs scored a touchdown with the whoop, 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 the juke moves, bro. It was smooth as hell. So I thought that they was about to blow off on them. But the Niners defense did show improvement on that drive. The touchdown that the Lions scored, it only came off of the interception. That's the only reason why they didn't have to go the length of the field. Now the field goal, this is what I'm going to say about the field goal as we continue going. He had a chance to go for it on fourth down, and he didn't. He took the points. You know why he took the points? Because the right thing to do was take the damn points. That's called foreshadowing, folks. Moving on now to the third quarter. This is when the San Francisco 49ers start coming to life. They start coming to life. They got to a make-or-break moment. It was third down, San Francisco ball, and they had to make a play. And they did make that play. And now when you converted that third down, you saw a little bit of confidence coming, a little bit of juice coming. And then the next thing you know, a bomb goes up to Brandon Ayuk. Terrible pass by Brock Purdy. But more or less, incredible play by Brandon Ayuk, incredible concentration. Hey, the DBs are wide receivers who can't catch. That's what a DB is. And that's sure enough what happened. The ball smacks my man right in his hands, but he ain't used to that. He ain't trained for that. And my man's bopped it. Boop. That's why they say DB smack the ball down. Unless you like Deion Sanders, Darrelle Revis, and all these boys, you smack the ball down. And this is why. The ball bounces in the air. Brandon Ayuk gets it. And now here we are at the 3-yard line, 4-yard line. That's cash money for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey's getting in that end zone. You ain't stopping that. So Christian McCaffrey scores a touchdown. And then the play that really changed the tone of the game was Jahmyr Gibbs with the fumble. Man, bro, you guys have no idea how much my heart dropped on that. Not because I was rooting for the Lions. Honestly, I didn't care. I just wanted a good game. My heart dropped because, bro, there was 2 fumbles in both games. And both was by rookies. Well, technically there was 3. There was Lamar Jackson one. But I'm talking about the 2 costly ones. Zay Flowers and Jahmyr Gibbs as rookies fumbled them balls. Man, I was hurt. I was hurt for them. But here's my beef. In that first half, the Detroit Lions ran the ball with control. And they controlled the game. I want to say they ran the ball like 24 times for about like $140 or something like that. Ran it down their throats. On the first drive, they ran in the third quarter. They ran the ball 4 times. By the end of the quarter, bro, they only ran the ball 6 times. Now, granted, it was for kind of lack of opportunity, but also it kind of ends up going forward in the game. Now, the 49ers end up scoring some more points, and now we go ahead and get to the fourth quarter. The Lions try to go for the home run play. They went for it, and it was there. They did a flea flicker, and boy, that was a missed opportunity. Jameson Williams, you got to catch that ball. You got to catch that ball. Now, do I like the flea flicker? Me personally, no. But regardless of how the play went, Jared Goff put that ball in the spot where only Jameson Williams could get it. And Jameson Williams, you got your hands on it. It did not get touched. I'm sorry, you didn't get touched. It did not get deflected. None of that occurred. You got to hang on to that ball. You have to. And what happened was you didn't, and now you go for it on 4th down, and you don't get it. And now the 49ers are still rocking and rolling. And now you get another 4th down. This is the one I have some beef with. You go for it on 4th down when you had a chance to kick a field goal. Actually, I lied. Pause real quick. The first 4th down is what I had an issue with. There's 2 of them. The first one I had an issue with. The score, I think, was 24-17 at this time. And they had a chance to kick a field goal. They didn't take it. And I feel like they should have took that because they were losing momentum, and you just need to do something to get your guys' confidence back up. Get some points on the board. Now, the argument, which I get it, was that it was going to be like a 45, 50-yard field goal, and their kicker's only like 60% career-wise from that distance. So it's not like it was a sure opportunity. It's not like they got Butker for the Chiefs or Justin Tucker or anybody of that nature. So I can kind of understand what you're saying when you give me that number, but I think I just would have took them points. I think that you had to take them points. And when you didn't, now you lose momentum. You lost more momentum because now it's a 4th down stand and so on and so forth. And now we get to 27-24, you are losing. And now you feel like that you have to go for it on 4th down. Now, the second one I didn't have an issue with, actually. I didn't have an issue with it. You was finally moving the ball at a decent rate. And now you had an opportunity to try to get the lead back. And you are the road team. So it's just a different vibe when you're the road team. If I was the home team, I probably would have kicked the field goal. But because I was on the road playing against a team that is deemed better than mine, I'm probably going to try to, let's try to continue killing this clock and end this football game. Try to get this touchdown. So I wasn't too mad at the second one. But the point is, though, you did things earlier in the game that forced you to be in that position. And then when you had a chance, as the 49ers keep doing what they're doing, Brock Purdy playing amazing, by the way. You had an opportunity to give yourself a chance. And with 1 minute and 5 seconds left, you ran the football on 3rd down. You can't do that. You couldn't do that. Now, I do get it. They were struggling stopping the run all day, so on and so forth. And this is who you are. This is who you guys are. So I do understand why you went for it, but I don't think that you should have ran it. At the very least, do an RPO. Let Jared Goff read the situation. So now he can at least look at the handoff, and if it's not there, he can even just throw it out of bounds. Stop the clock. Just stop it. But the issue was that you ran the football, and now you had to burn a timeout, and you pretty much called the game right there. There's no way you was getting the ball back unless you got a miracle onside kick. That's the only way you're going to get it back. So, man, for the Lions, they blew the game. To sum up the second half, I feel like this. Brock Purdy played amazing. He played amazing. I don't hate Brock Purdy. I do think he's a good player. I do not think that he is as good as people say he is. For example, and I'm not sure how much talk shows you guys watch and things like that, but for example, I love Jeff Saturday. But the way that he kind of hypes him up, I get what he's saying, but I just do not think he's that guy. For example, he's trying to compare these second season numbers to Joe Burrow's because they are early similar of each other. But Joe Burrow turned that franchise around. That's not Brock Purdy. Joe Burrow took a team that had the number 1 overall draft pick for a damn reason. And then like the number 4 draft pick, I believe, because I believe that's where Jamar Chase got drafted, for a reason, to the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy took over a NFC regular playoff championship team. Every year these guys will make it to the NFC Championship. They made it to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. These guys are elite when healthy. He didn't have to carry them. Now, I will say this. He has proven to be a little bit more than a game manager. I will give Brock Purdy that. He is not a game manager by no means. He is a little bit more. He's average plus. So if you say that an average quarterback is a C, he's a B. Do I take him over Kirk Cousins? Probably. And so on and so forth. We'll talk about that later at a different time where I would very specifically rank Brock Purdy. But he played fantastic in that second half. He ran the ball on opportunities. He took what the defense gave him. He threw a lot of very good balls in that second half. I mean, the only ball that was shaky was the Brandon Ayuk catch. That was the only one that was shaky, in my opinion. But other than that, he threw a lot of great balls. And he played a great game. But, man, this game was about Dan Campbell. I hate to say it like that. And once again, the lights got too bright. Now, putting both games together, the both losers, the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions, it got too bright. The lights got too bright. And guess what happened in both games that are very similar to each other? They lost themselves. These two teams were two of the best, if not the two best, rushing football teams in the NFL. And they both left that game plan. In the second half, the Detroit Lions forgot that they had running backs. They thought that they had me at running back in the second half, so they just didn't give me the ball. And the Ravens just forgot they had any running backs on the roster. You lost yourself. And because of that, honestly, bro, that's why you lost. Therefore, what makes championship caliber teams is the fact that they don't lose the game. Patrick Mahomes got sacked one time in that game, I believe. And, bro, man, they tried to take his knees off. But he got sacked one time in that game. He threw no interceptions. He never put the ball in danger. Anything of that nature. Look at what Brock Purdy and that offense did. Brock Purdy stopped trying to put the ball in danger. Instead, he started running the football, taking the yards. Just get the yards. When you had a chance for points, you just took the points. They still kicked field goals after their kicker missed the field goal. The first one of the game. They still kicked them. They didn't lose themselves. Both teams that won did not lose themselves. So now real quick to touch on these losers one more time. Both teams lost themselves. Both teams, the lights were too bright. Next year will be a brighter future for both of these rosters. Now for the Baltimore Ravens, there's going to be some things that happen a little bit. There's a good chance that like Patrick Queen won't be there next year and guys like that. But now for the Detroit Lions, man, that's nothing. There's only space and opportunity for those guys. They're going to continue building on what they're doing. They just got to focus on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like that's all that they have to do. But those are the things that they did wrong in these games. For the Kansas City Chiefs, man, what they did great was they found who they are, and they have accepted what they are. They accepted that we are a defensive-first team, and we are led on offense by Isaiah Pacheco. When I say led, I'm talking about the schedule, the rhythm, and things of that nature is led by Isaiah Pacheco. Patrick Mahomes is asked to make the plays when it's time to make the plays. That's what he's asked to do. Now, when you go on the other side and look at Brock Purdy and those boys, just a talented football team. They have weaknesses. We will talk about the weaknesses of their team, also the weaknesses of the Chiefs in the next episode. But, man, for this game, they did great. The only thing I was kind of surprised by was that Deebo Samuel wasn't as involved as I thought that he would have been. But other than that, man, they played good. They played good in the second half. Second half, actually, the 49ers played fantastic. So did the Chiefs. But, man, you talking about the offense didn't score any points for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that defense, man, they let up only 3 points that entire second half. And that's Lamar Jackson and those boys over there. That's the highest scoring team in football this year. And they didn't play no bum division. They played against some good defenses. Cincinnati's a solid defense. The Browns were an elite defense, and the Pittsburgh Steelers were always an elite defense. So with that being the case, like, the defense showed up. The defense for the Chiefs showed up. Now, it's funny, though, looking at this Super Bowl. This Super Bowl preview is going to be kind of funny because the strength of the Kansas City Chiefs is the defense, and the strength of the 49ers is the offense. A lot of people are going to look at that reverse because of Patrick Mahomes being on one side and Brock Purdy on the other. But we're going to get into that more on the next episode. But, man, for this episode, bro, that's going to be the end. We had two really good, great conference championship games. Those are the things that happen in these games or why the outcome was what it is. And, man, Patrick Mahomes is still that guy, MVP Pat, and Brock Purdy is trying to make a name for himself in this league. C.J. McCaffrey is showing how special he is, as we all already knew. But, man, the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens, you really spoiled an opportunity, and that hurts. That hurts, especially for the Baltimore Ravens. You don't know how many times that you're going to be better than the Kansas City Chiefs because you were. Now, that will conclude our episode. Hey, you know what team we rooting for this weekend, baby. You already know what time it is. And then the next episode, we really going to dig into the Super Bowl preview. Hey, thank you for watching. Everyone take care of yourselves. Focus on your mental health and things of that nature. Hey, catch me on the next episode. Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Peace.